database and its potential impact on translational research. Before I introduce our speaker, let me go some housekeeping issues as usual. We continue providing CME credits for our tech talks and our ID series presentations. We will distribute the information via email to those who registered for today's event. If you did not register prior to today's talk, you can still obtain CME code information from Deborah Rees, and she will post her email address in the chat box. Some upcoming events that you really do not want to miss. On June 4th, we have another tech talk, and that will be led by Kim Williams and Alex Mapp, our own Kim and Alex from Krishna Care. We'll talk about survey design, steps to building a research survey. So it's a Thursday, noon, June 4th. And then on June 23rd, we'll have an ID series. It will be Dr. Freda Patterson from University of Delaware. We'll talk about time of day effects of sleeping, eating, and exercising on cardiometabolic risk. So you really do not want also to miss that one. It will be on a Tuesday at noon, and it's June 23rd. So again, I'm really excited that Dr. Cagri Ozdemir has accepted to give us a talk today. Dr. Ozdemir is a senior data scientist in the Department of Public and Allied Health Sciences at Delaware State University, and he's also an ACCEL scholar at Delaware State University, and as such was awarded the ACCEL Scholar Startup Research Support in 2025. He obtained his PhD in data science and engineering at South Dakota School of Mines and Technology in 2023, and a Master of Science in Electrical Computer and Engineering at Rowan University in New Jersey. Finally, before coming to Delaware State University in 2025, he was a postdoctoral researcher in computer science and engineering at University of North Texas. He already has a long list of publications and has been a mentor for multiple students, specifically mentoring graduate students on working with the All of Us program and database. So thank you so much, Dr. Ozdemir, for giving us this presentation today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that warm introduction. And you should be seeing my screen right now. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
1 second. I'm gonna. Okay. So thank you again for this opportunity. Today, I'm going to talk about the NIH All of Us research program. For many years, clinical trials, genomic studies have drawn overwhelmingly from homogeneous populations, predominantly white, predominantly male, predominantly from wealthy Western nations. As a result of this, medical breakthroughs from the studies may work effectively for some patients, some people. That being said, they fall short for far too many others. So that's exactly the gap the NIH All of Us research program was created to close. Today, we will walk through what this program is, how it works, why this matters, for the future precision medicine and health equity research. We then explore the data and the opportunity that data holds for researchers, clinicians, and the communities at its center. So we will explore the data browser, the researcher workbench, and cloud computing through the workbench. And finally, I will briefly introduce my research with the NIH All of Us research data and wrap up with some sort of limitation and challenges I experienced in my research with the research data. So All of Us research program was established in 2015, and they very first started to enroll participants in 2018. Generally speaking, All of Us is a research program that aims to gather health data from millions of people across the United States to improve biomedical research and to accelerate the health outcomes of patients. The program's goal is to enroll 1 million or more participants across the United States and build a very large database with a committed focus on communities that have been historically underrepresented in research. They want to include people from different ethnic and race backgrounds, older adults, patients with disabilities, people with disabilities, individuals with LGBTQ individuals, and more. By doing so, they want to make this large, diverse data sets available for researchers and pave the road of the future precision medicine and health equity research. As I mentioned in the beginning, the foundation of biomedical research was built on very narrow group of people and excluded entire communities. By excluding entire communities, they built a science of the human health on an incomplete picture of what it means to be human. As a result of this, at the end of the day, we might end up with some sort of issues, some sort of problems. One of them is biased research outputs. Fundings from homogeneous data may not apply to diverse populations, leading to incorrect diagnosis and treatment strategies. For example, cardiovascular disease presents differently in women, but the classic symptoms that all we learn drawn from study of men. Another study shows that certain cancer therapies show dramatically different outcomes across different ethnic groups. So we are just beginning to understand why, because the data was not there before. So the problem is not only biased research outputs, it also leads to health disparities because biomedical research has excluded entire communities' data. Underrepresented communities face worse health outcomes. And we know that health disparities, they're not accidents of nature. They are the results of decades of studies that excluded entire communities. So therefore, all of us is an opportunity to correct that. All of us is an opportunity to build a science on a complete picture of what it means to be human, build a science which sees everyone, serves every patient, regardless of who they are, where they come from. What about research database? The data comes from a wide variety of sources. They're coming from different hospitals, different insurance companies. So therefore, all data goes through a data harmonization step. The program uses observational medical outcomes partnership data model to standardize electronic health records data. So participants' privacy is at the heart of everything for the program. Researchers who can access data never sees names, addresses, or direct identifiers of participants. And the program ensures high quality data. So the researchers who can access data can effectively reach out curated data repositories without worrying about all these hard data harmonization, data refinements steps. So data is curated data repositories is ready to use, ready to utilize in their research. What kind of data it provides? Well, the program provides electronic health records, physical measurements. One of the nice things about electronic health records and physical measurements is that the individual level electronic health records can be captured at every visit. So the researchers who can access data can get information about their health outcomes over the time. And so it's a longitudinal data. In addition to electronic health records, so we can get social determinants of health survey data, socioeconomic features, Fitbit data is available. This year, you can reach out genomics data. This year, they provide, based on my knowledge, the whole genome sequencing for thousands of patients. They classify data into three different groups: public tier, registered tier, control tier. And public tier can be accessed through data browser. So public tier is just a very high level summaries of the program data, a very high level of statistics of the program data. Everyone can access, no registration required. So registered tier, individual level data, it's sensitive data. So individual level surveys, physical measurements, longitudinal electronic health records, Fitbit data, socioeconomic features. So this is the registered tier, control tier, all registered tier data plus genomic data. So registered tier and the control tier must be analyzed in the researcher workbench platform, which is a secure control platform that the program uses to store the data. So I would like to give an example how we use the data browser. So it's just a website. You can see the website at the bottom of the slide, databrowser.researchallofus.org. So you can see a search box. Once you put your a disease on the search box, so for example, Alzheimer's disease, it gives you some sort of basic statistics, as I said, about condition, lab measurements, and the surveys. So once we click on the labs and measurements, so it's going to give us some sort of biomarkers for Alzheimer's disease. In the second row, you can see the amyloid beta accumulation in their blood, and you can see how many patients, for how many patients we can reach out this amyloid beta accumulation counts. So it's just the basic level information. Another example is once we type type 2 diabetes. So you can see it says 167 medical concepts. There are different ICD-9 and ICD-10 codes. Once we click on that, you can see disorders of nervous system due to type 2 diabetes, hyperglycemia due to type 2 diabetes, and you can see the number of participants for each medical concept. So let's click on the first one, type 2 diabetes. So you can see participants count and the distribution across the participant counts, this distribution across the age. And we can also get the male participants and the female participants. So as you can see, it's just the basic statistics. Maybe before start collecting individual level data, it might be beneficial to see how many patients over there, if you're targeting older adults, how many older adults over there, or if you're working on a specific ethnic group, race group, or anything, what you're looking for. So before starting, you can get some sort of information, how many data over there, if there is enough data to analyze over there. So basic statistics. So register tier and control tier must be analyzed, as I said before, in the researcher workbench platform. The researcher workbench is a secure control cloud-based platform where approved researcher can access, analyze, and collaborate on all of us health data. So it's important to note that if a researcher wants to register for the researcher workbench, so the institution, their institutions have to be a participant. So only researchers whose institution have signed a data use and registration agreement may register for the all of us researcher workbench. How can we check this out? So you can see again the website at the bottom, the researchallofus.org, institutional agreements. You can see a search box again. Once you put your institution's name over there, for example, Delaware State University, so we can see the registered tier and the control tier stamps over there. So it means that the researcher from these institutions can register for the workbench and utilize both registered tier and control tier data in their research. So after checking all these things, I would like to share this website. So it is to log in for the workbench or register for the workbench. So once we Google the all of us research program, there are different websites. There's one website for the participants. You can enroll as a participant, but if you want to register for the researcher workbench, so just make sure you're on the right page. So the website you can see workbench.researchallofus.org, login. So you can sign in, or if you don't have an account, you can create an account through this website. So after creating your account, so you have to complete some sort of trainings. Registered tier users must complete registered tier training to access the registered tier data. If you don't want to reach out to genomic data, you don't have to complete the other training. But if you want to reach out to genomic data, you have to complete another training to access the control tier data. So they are all about their policy, how we are going to deal with the data. We have to store them. We cannot download on our computer. It's about their policy, federal laws, federal regulations. To, as I said, the participant privacy is at the heart of everything for the program. So they inform you about their policy and federal regulation about this program data. So this is how, after completing all these steps, this is how researcher workbench looks like. So this is my personal researcher workbench. So you can create workspaces by yourself. You can be owner, so you can create your own project, and you can be reader. So you can reach out different projects over there, but you cannot analyze, you cannot, change the files. You cannot get involved in the project. You can just read them. And there are some sort of very helpful workspaces over there. For example, as you can see, beginner intro to all of us data and the workbench. And also you can assign somebody as a writer. It might be your collaborator, your postdoc, your graduate students. So you can collaborate on a project. So you can, at the same time, you can analyze data, you can create Jupyter notebooks, whatever you're looking for. And if you want to create a new workspace, you should click on this, create a workspace. So it's gonna ask you workspace names, the other information, data version. And another important thing is that we have to pay, because as I said, it's a secure controlled platform. So data will be stored on this platform. So if you want to run some sort of analysis, we have to connect to a cloud environment, cloud computing environment. So we have to pay for this one. The All of Us research program provides $300 in initial credits per user. So it's just the initial credits. Once you run out of these credits, you have to link another billing account to continue, running your analysis. So after creating your workspace, in order to create the data, you should just click on the data, and you can create your cohort. So the cohort, for example, if you want to focus on just the older patients, a specific age range, so you can adjust this one over here, the cohorts part, or you're just considering the male participants or female participants or a certain ethnic group, race group. So it's just an adjustment of some sort of demographic features of the participants. Then your cohort is ready. So you need to extract the data for your cohort. It's from the right hand side, the data sets part. So you can extract the electronic health records, survey data, socioeconomic features, whatever you are looking for, then your data is ready. So it's going to create a SQL code writing to extract data, but you don't need to be an expert for writing a code for SQL writing code. So you can create this SQL writing to extract data through these steps. So how to analyze data? So we can use Jupyter, SAS, and R. And as a data scientist, I'm always using Jupyter. I like Python. And as I said, we have to pay for that. So if you're dealing with, like me, if you're dealing with a large deep learning, machine learning models, AI models, you might need some sort of GPUs. So for the GPUs, you can select, different GPUs available. So the best one is the Tesla V100. So it provides, I think each of them provides 32 VRAM, based on my knowledge. So you can select your GPU, a number of GPU you want to use, and we have to pay for that. So cost when running, it's for the settings, the $5.73. And when you pause, it still charges 1 cent. What it means, so you don't want to take the entire settings off. So you just want to pause. So because if you take this everything, if you delete everything, so then you have to adjust all these settings again, and it takes time to connect cloud analysis environment. So I highly recommend just a pause. Once you don't want to use, you don't want to run anything. And as I said, the data will be there. So data will be stored on a persistent disk. So it's going to be a separate charge. So they charge $4.80 per month. It's a separate one. And to summarize, user pay for analysis, and it's important to note that the cloud environment can be adjusted based on your data. So right now I select GPUs, but if you don't need GPUs, if you just need CPUs, so you can select CPUs and you don't need to overpay, And I would like to show this one. There is a feature workspaces. You can reach out tutorial workspaces, demonstration projects, phenotype library. They're very helpful workspaces. For example, tutorial workspaces. These workspaces provide instructions for researchers, researcher components and representations of the all of us data set. Demonstration projects, you can reach out end-to-end analysis that can be performed using all of us data. Phenotype library, they use some sort of code and use the all of us data set to create some sort of electronic phenotypes. So they're very helpful workspaces over there. You can reach out through feature workspaces link over there. If you want to search for a specific thing, you can use the user support hub over here. And I would like to briefly introduce my research with all of us data. So I'm working on multiple projects. One of them is AI-driven risk modeling of heart and kidney complication in type 2 diabetes using electronic health records as social determinants. And we know that long-term hyperglycemia and the insulin resistance may cause multi-organ damage. As a result of this, so this problem leads to additional chronic disorders known as comorbidities coming with type 2 diabetes. So the type 2 diabetes patients is most likely have additional comorbidities because of this long-term hyperglycemia and insulin resistance. So once we look at the literature, early prevention and intervention strategies are important. But once we look at the literature, most of them, they target very single system communities, or they provide some sort of solutions, treatment strategies, guidelines for very, very large populations. So, but every single patient has its own clinical profile and the social profile as well. So therefore, to address this gap, so I am working on I'm developing a computational methodology. It's a graph neural network-based dynamic model to predict the risk of patients with type 2 diabetes for developing heart and kidney complications in the future. So for these projects, I'm take advantage of the longitudinal form of electronic health records. For each visit, I'm collecting patients' electronic health records, some sort of blood biomarkers and the urine test result biomarkers for the kidney complication and the heart complications. And I create a graph topology. I want the data to interact with each other, talk to each other. And I'm gonna little bit talk about more about this graph topologies. So for each visit, we have graph, and we have, for example, n visit. And then after training, this model gonna give us their patient's risk scores for developing additional heart and kidney complications in the future. And another specific aim for this project is to create a digital twin simulation. So after training, so we can create a what if scenario by changing some sort of modifiable risk factors for cardiovascular disease or chronic kidney disease. For example, their insulin treatment, their lack of exercise information, social determinant of health, the access to healthcare. So then we are going to see, we will be able to see their effect, how much they're going to affect on the risk scores, the probabilities, technically speaking. So therefore, instead of putting the patient's risk, so we can create some sort of computational simulations, what's going to happen in the future. So why I'm using the graph data, as I said, I want to represent each patient as a node and create an interaction between the patients. So I would like to explain this with a very, very basic kindergarten level example. Let's say we have patients over there and the nodes represent patients, and we have blue group and the red group. For the blue group, let's say they're low risk group, and the red ones, they're at the high risk group. So we have some of the white ones. So we don't know whether they belong to red one or the blue one. So what I am trying to do, I'm trying to create a graph topology based on their genetic data, based on their electronic health records. You can use social determinant of health, socioeconomic features to create this interaction. You can use cosine similarity, Euclidean distance, or if data is a matrix form, you can use non-Euclidean distances, geodesic distance on a manifold structure. Maybe they live on Riemannian manifold, Grassmann manifold, something like that, to better represent the data. So after creating this structure, it's clearly seen that these 9 and 11, these guys belong to the blue group, and the other one belong to red group. So mathematically speaking, the aggregation function does the magic for us for here. For example, for 11, you can see it's connected with 1 and 3 based on maybe integration of genomic data, electronic health records, and social background. So it's connected to 1 and 3. So 1 and 3 represented as 1, 1, 1. These are our node features. And so I am using a mean, just the aggregation function. So if the ones represents blue color, so after the aggregation, after the taking the mean of these values, these three inputs, so it's going to be 0.667. So it means that it's getting close to 1. So therefore, it's a light blue. So this is how it works. So we call this message passing in the graph structure. So that's why I would like to use graph topologies and create a dynamic model to understand the pattern, their trajectories, their medical journeys. So we are not trying to take a grid on the disease again. So we are trying to understand the patterns, the pathways that lead to the worst outcomes in terms of developing additional chronic disorders like chronic kidney disease, chronic cardiovascular disease, something like that. Another project is data-driven insights into disparities in type 2 diabetes progression. So in this project, I'm not focusing on the comorbidities. So I'm trying to collect, again, the longitudinal data. I'm trying to collect the patient's HbA1c measurements for each visit. So I'm going to create a glycemic trajectories for each patient. So you can see a synthetic data is not from all of us. So it's just the synthetic data. You can see through the time, over the time, we have different patterns. Some of them fluctuating, some of them they stable, but control is a little bit high from the what is normal. So we call them stable control. Someone is very high and stable, someone improving, decreasing over time, someone worsening, it's increasing over time. The H1BC is a marker that tells us the glucose level in their blood. So the another cluster is the high volatility. It's fluctuating over time. So after collecting all this information, I'm going to use some sort of unsupervised machine learning techniques, clustering techniques to cluster patients into these groups: stable control, stable uncontrolled, and high volatility. And then I'm going to get their social determinant of health and the deprivation index from the all of us data, which is very good source to reach out that information for the patients. So I would like to complete this chain. Deprivation causes some sort of change in our social life, and then it might affect your membership of glycemic trajectory. Why it's flash? So the contribution, each social determinant of health contribution to adverse disadvantage trajectories. So we are trying to understand the food insecurity, for example, food security's contribution to high volatility group, or transportation contribution, or house stability, instability contribution, health insurance, whatever we are. There are different type of socioeconomic features in all of us. So that's it. And I would like to a little bit mention about the limitations and challenges. So one of them is, I can say that we have to pay for that. After you run out your initial credits, you have to, link another billing account. It might be you need a grant, or you have to pay somehow. So this is a limitation, I think. The other one is, as I show you, we can create easily the data set, our cohort, based on changing some sort of demographic features. And then we can create some sort of cohort and extract the features. So as I said, it creates a SQL, right? SQL code to extract the data. But if you're looking for something specific, so sometimes you need to change in your code some specific area. So therefore, it's not easy. So it's you need to familiar with how to deal with the SQL code writing to extract the data effectively. And the most important thing, in the beginning, everything looks like, very hard to navigate through the tools. How can you find the solution? How can you extract data? How can you connect the cloud environment? That kind of things. So, for example, another challenge for me is I don't know how to, initially, I didn't know how to run my code in the background, because I'm creating a deep learning methodologies, and it takes sometimes one day, 8 hours, 9 hours to train my model with hyperparameter tuning. So I don't know how to run it in the background. There was a code over there, but I didn't know at that time. I learned the hard way. So therefore, I highly recommend having a mentor to effectively, navigate its structure and the tools. This is the most important thing, I think. Or you can attend some sort of informal sessions. They call that the office hours. So you can ask some sort of questions and learn some sort of practical tips and update it on platform features. So they email you for this office hours, so you can attend and understand. Oh, and finally, I would like to add that if any of you need help for, not for your study, not for your research, but also for, not only for your research, but also how to navigate the structure tools, about all of us, please feel free to reach out to me. I will be more than happy to help you. So in the program, sometimes they launch some sort of specific sessions, like they did create a program in 2024, and I served as a mentor, and I mentored two PhD students from different underrepresented groups. So it was very helpful for the students, for the beginners, to effectively navigate, effectively use the researcher workbench, because it, save their time and keep their motivations up. Thank you for listening. That's all from me, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ozdemir. Do we have any questions from the audience? Please feel free to talk or raise your hand. All right, well, we are waiting for questions. I have a couple. So in all of us, do you have geographic locations like state or county in the data?
Good question. For the data browser, so you can reach out to how many participants, coming from a specific state. But as I said, as the privacy is important, so they just provide the first 3 digits of the zip codes. So you cannot detect their address exactly, but you can say they're coming from Kent County or, different counties. So you can say this is coming from the Delaware and Kent County, but not the exact address. So they just provide the 3-digit zip code, so you can reach out through the researcher workbench, or for high-level summaries, so you can use the data browser to see how many participants coming from where.
So this is great. So if we wanted to know something about Delaware, diabetes in Delaware, for example, or to have counts, according to age or something like that. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. That's something that can be done, right? Because you would have the state.
I forgot to say that. So for my second project, so the glycemic trajectories, I would like to perform an analysis across the United States, and I would like to compare that results just considering the Delaware patients, because we can reach out to zip codes. So thank you for that question. I forgot to add that. And for the interpretation of the results, so I will work with Dr. Marcella Lee from Christiana Care. I want to thank her. I don't know if she is here or not, but I want to thank her for agreeing on collaborating on this project.
Any questions? Not yet. And regarding the social determinants of health, how are they collected? Are these individual surveys, or is it collected from the American Community Survey collected through the census? And American Community Survey gives information by census tract, and so it's not individual patients.
So most of them, some of them are surveys. So it's just how do you score your food transportation, something like that. It's just a survey. Some sort of calculate deprivation index, they called housing index, education index, something like that. But I don't know the details how they come up with that numbers. Some of them it's just the binary outputs, yes or no. Some of them it's just the index numbers, like deprivation index. If it's close to 1, it's high deprivation. It's close to 0, it's low deprivation, best of my knowledge.
I see. Yeah. So I think the area deprivation index is based on the census tract. So I guess they must have this information. Whereas you are saying that many of the social determinants of health are collected through surveys, right? So personal surveys. So yes, people who are enrolled onto these surveys.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the presentation. It was really interesting. I just have a quick question about the All of Us database. You mentioned that, for instance, in some of the work that you're doing, you're looking at, for each visit, you might be looking at the EHR and the biomarkers. So the protocol for those who are enrolled in All of Us, can you just say something about how the longitudinal data are collected? Like at what kind of intervals?
So how they participate the program?
Yeah.
So I think there's no easy way to answer that question. The data, based on my knowledge, as I said, so it's coming from different sources. So different hospitals, they all data goes through a data harmonization step. So once we are trying to reach out to longitudinal data, you can see the date and the blood biomarkers, urine test results about these patients. But sometimes some of them they didn't show up for the next visit. So, but the further visits, you can see the information again. So it's data might be a little bit sparse based on what you're looking for, but I don't know what's their policy about that. But based on my knowledge, participants can decide share what they want to share or withdraw what they don't want to share. So the participant privacy is important. So as a data scientist, this is one of the challenge also. So once I create the longitudinal data, there are a lot of missing points in my data matrix. So therefore, I go through some sort of imputation techniques, machine learning techniques to, impute the data.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Does it make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. There is a question in the chat. Do you have access to the chat? Do you want me to read it?
Yes. So one question about is the main all of us data number of records fixed in time, or can it grow or shrink over time? So as I said, the electronic health records, the lab measurements, they are longitudinal. So you can reach out the data, individual electronic health records can be captured at different visit times. You can see the dates. But some sort of data, for example, for the whole genome sequencing, they collect it once a time. So it's not longitudinal. So the answer is electronic health records, yes, it's longitudinal, but social determinant of health, based on my knowledge, is not longitudinal. It's just a one-time survey, and genetic data is the same. It's not longitudinal.
So I guess as a follow-up to this question, so people are followed up as long as the program is still collecting data. People kept being followed up, I guess, and it's not like there is a 1 year or 2 years follow-up and then the data are not for each patient or for each person.
Okay.
It seems that it's if a person has been in the program since the beginning, their records are kept accumulating. Is this correct?
So yes, so in that point, so they release different version of data. It says that the registered tier version 7. So it's a part of, but version 8 might include additional data, the further data for certain patients, but the patient can surrender. So they can say, I don't want anymore. I don't want to see my electronic health records over there. So the both is true. It might grow or shrink over time. So it's based on the participant's decision.
I see. And I guess it's not yet 1 million, right? I mean, I think they are at like 800,000 or something.
857-ish right now. It's not 1 million right now, but it's very close to there.
And once they reach the 1 million, then they will not collect more. I mean, they will not try to find more people. I guess hopefully they will follow up, with time, but
I hope they will continue.
Depends on the
we
funding.
live in an era of data. We need more data.
Right. Any other questions? Anyone else who has experience with all of us, or who has analyzed data from all of us? This is a really great database, very, very exciting.
I have one more quick question, if I might ask about you, the examples that you described with respect to your work about risk modeling for heart and kidney complications, and as well as looking at disparities were both with type 2 diabetes. Is that your focus area? Because I noticed on your workbench there was also something about like phenotype of breast cancer and something else too. I didn't quite catch it all, but would you want to say anything about your primary focus area with respect to your research and a disease or condition content area?
Sure. So my research revolves around developing novel deep learning, machine learning, AI-based methodologies to understand the pattern in this interesting, sensitive, large data. So I mainly focus on computational system biology of cancer. So I'm trying to create some sort of models to identify some sort of molecular level biomarkers for cancer, unknown novel biomarkers for cancer using deep learning, graph-based learning methodologies. So this is my primary focus, but at the same time, I'm an all of us researcher. As I said, I joined the program as a mentor for in 2024. For this program, I focus on type 2 diabetes, but my expertise in data, how to extract data, how to find some sort of biomarker, social determinant of health effect data, creating digital simulations, that kind of things.
Thank you. Derald, I'm sorry, Mary, do you have another question?
No, just thank you.
Thank you. Derald, you have a question?
Yes, and Cagri actually touched on that. So just trying to think of the perspective of someone who has a research topic and is now interested, maybe this can actually work for us. And Cagri, you did a nice job of saying, selecting a mentor, finding a mentor is very helpful. Does all of us provide information about the mentors, where they're located, and possibly what their research interests are? Because I would imagine, and I think you touched on that, the training videos, a good place to start, but finding a mentor and just saying, I have this topic. I don't even know if the all of us would be a useful place for me to go for this. So just some suggestions that you might have about finding a mentor, and appreciate the fact that you are a mentor and are opening it up and saying people can contact you with that. So any additional information you can provide about researchers connecting with a mentor just to start the process and think about, can this help me?
Thank you, Daryl. So I highly recommend follow the program announcements. So sometimes they, as I said, open a new session, so you can find mentor through their sessions or a specific program like they did in 2024. They gather graduate students, undergraduate students, all of us researchers, the beginners, and they assign some sort of mentors to them, and they paid for the mentors for that. So in order to find a mentor, so I highly recommend keep in touch with program announcements. And if you really need someone, so I would reach out to the program officers to see if there is an opportunity to work with someone to make it easy to navigate through the workbench, to other things I mentioned in my presentation.
Right, great information. Any other question? All right, well, thank you so much, Cagri. This was very, very informative and very exciting. And thank you again. And thank you everyone for attending our seminar today.